This time with a quick speed shop, I'm finally putting the front end back together on Project Green Machine. I'm doing a little cleanup here. I've got this oil that was all over the bottom of the truck. The oil rust protection, I guess, is a freaking disaster. It's nasty. It coats everything, makes everything a slimy mess. But there was rust underneath it, underneath the like the thick paint on the frame and stuff here. So I went and I cleaned all the frame up, and I took a whole bunch of brake clean. I sprayed all this down real good, and I've got some old Rust-Oleum, and I brush painted this Rust-Oleum black. Got the fan working here, but I got to get in here and rail can the back of the spring. But I put a good coat of Rust-Oleum gloss black on here, and this will give me a good foundation to put my fluid film on when I go to rust proof this. So I peeled all the old paint off and cleaned it up the best I could, hit it with a wire wheel, and just slapped it on with a brush. So hopefully this will give a little bit of protection to the rusty metal, and then I can put my fluid film on top. I got my new front shock on this side. These are I think just Gabriel Red Riders. Got one on there. I'm fighting on the other side. I really had to fight to get the bolts out and cut everything apart. So I'm going to finish up that side. As soon as I get that done, we're going to get the core support out. We're going to start putting the front end of this truck back together again. All right, bam, here I am under the lights. It's got dark, and I think we're ready to put the core support on this thing. I went and I finished painting up the frame. I got both frame rails painted all the way back to the firewall. My nice old 10-year-old Rust-Oleum that appears to still be good. Bam, I painted that. I got both shocks installed. All the serpentine systems back on. All the accessories on the engine are back on. The manifolds are back on. So this engine is pretty much buttoned up as far as it's going to be for right now. And I got all anti-seize on the studs here for the core support. I got my big washers. I got the shims over there on the tire drying, and the paint there sprayed on earlier, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the core support on right now. So I got some fluid film. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dust all these spots that are going to be stacked up metal. I'm going to hit them with some film. Just try to keep the rust out of the center of this. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to stack 3 spacers on here. These spacers here, we're going to stack 3 of these on, because that's how it was from the factory. There's 6 of them, so I'll put them in right now, and I can yank them out if I need to. So stack them guys up, and then this big washer here goes on here. Bam. We're ready for the core support. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Alright, it's the moment of truth. Here we go. Bam, done. How easy was that? Oh wait, we gotta bolt it down. Let's do that. So, got these nuts here. Where's my other big washers? And I got these washers here that look like this. They go on the back side. I know you can't see anything because it's dark, but trust me, it's happening. Where's my fluid film? I want to hit this with fluid film back here. Alright. So you notice I've painted this green. What is this? Anti-seize? Anti-seize everywhere. I painted this green up here, and then I fogged it semi-gloss black behind the grill and all that. So this is the wrong green. It's like forest green. It's a wrong green, but green is green, whatever. So I got green on top here where the painted surface is. Everything else will be satin black behind the grill for a factory look. I'm going to go ahead and get my sockets. I'll snug these down just a little bit, kind of centered up where it's got to be. And then to line all this up, I'm going to have to put the fenders on next. But I don't know if I'm going to get to that tonight because it's getting awful dark and the mosquitoes are starting to come out. Alright, now that I got the fenders done, I'm going to stick some in the bottom of this core support along the bottom, which is going to be hidden later. I'm going to blow some in there. So bam, there we go. So bam, there we go. Just got a little bit of preliminary fluid film sprayed on her here. Don't want to get too carried away because I'll be getting into it while I'm assembling this thing, but I did all the seams that will be accessible, or I should say inaccessible, once the thing's assembled. Bam, that's good. I also did behind the where the headlight fender extensions are going to go. I just did behind those, and I got all these seams here. So we're going to shut it down for tonight, but we're going to be back at it in the daylight. All right, bam, core support's on, and I went and I fluid filmed all this. That's going to be behind the fenders now. It's like a couple days later. I had some break in the action, but I'm back at it now. So I've got all this fluid filmed. I got to put the fender extensions on here. They go behind the headlights. And I can clip this electric on here, and I think I can stick the fenders on, and then start to get all this put together, and then put the inner fenders in last. So let me dig out the fender extensions. I think they're in the truck somewhere. I'll dig those out. We'll put those on the front here. Alright, the fender extensions here, I got them loosely laid on the back. I took some brush and I brushed on some fluid film on the back side here just to get it on there. I'm just going to roughly hold this in a space and just kind of zip it in a little bit. I'm going to leave it loose so when I adjust this here for the fenders it'll be alright. So I'm just going to zip her in a little bit. Oops, there goes a bolt. Just kind of get it in here close, then when I bolt the fenders down it'll be... Oh, what's going on here? Is that crooked? Nope. Ooh, that's hot. One snugged up a little stiff there. And bam, here we go. We got the driver's side fender ready to go on. Go ahead and set her up on here. Yep. I've already sprayed the inside of the fenders with fluid film. So all up and around inside and the seams and everything, they're ready to go. But one thing I do got to do is put a little here where this overlap's going to be between the two panels. Go ahead and slop that on there good. Bam. Alright, here we go. I already put some up here that's going to go under this fender piece. So now, go ahead and hang this here, like that. Like that, get a bolt in here. Okay, bam. Put my lower bolt in down here at the bottom of the fender, just to help hold this in. So that's loosely hung on there now. So the first thing I want to do is, I know there's a shim that's got to go under this back piece back here, and then I can play around with all these. Oops, we got here, okay. Play around with all the gap posts here. I'm going to start at the back. I'm going to pick the rear of the fender up flush where it's got to be with the cowl. Get the shims in the back big bolts, and then I can play with all this front end stuff. Now all this front's kind of loose, so we'll get everything on here and we'll do this with the front end to get her dialed in. Let me go ahead and I'm going to shim the back, get some big washers and shim the back of the fender. I'm going to save this one. I'm going to use a washer, a big washer under the back. Since I put the bolt in, I'm going to use a big washer back there. Alright, so what I'm trying to do is get my gaps lined up here good. I've got a pretty uniform gap all the way down this door, but it is a little large, so I'm going to try to push the fender back a little bit. And it's pretty good at the top of the cowl here. The cowl's bent just a little bit back here, so it's down a little bit, but I'm trying to get uniform gaps here. I've just got it very roughly dialed in here, so I'm going to loosen this bolt up and I'm going to push the fender backwards just a little bit. If it'll go. Alright, close that gap up just a little. Now my door is out. I think this fender is sucked in here. This aftermarket fender is sucked in here. What I'm fighting with is an awful large gap on the top of my cowl here. If I pull the fender way out, there's going to be a real large gap here. But I also don't want the door hanging out because the door will catch air and it'll whistle. So I guess I'd rather have a little bit wide of a gap up here and not have the door out so far. So I'm just going to loosen this up again. Pull the door out on top just a little bit more, right about there, I guess. This, man, that leaves an awful wide gap. This is the problem with aftermarket fenders, that they don't fit the best. That's why they're aftermarket, not OEM. But for this truck, that's what I got. It's not too bad. It's flush all down through here. It's a little wonky up in here. This gap is a little large, but I'm gonna have to deal with that. Now, this gap is running a little bit. This will push back here, and when I tighten the rear of the fender down, it'll be good here. So I pushed it about where I want it. Bam! Now that looks like a pretty good uniform gap all the way around here, as best I can get. So I'm pretty happy with that gap for now. We're going to leave this set like it is, like this, and we'll go and we'll get the other fender on, and then we'll start playing out and, you know, straighten the front end out like this and get everything lined up with the hood. And I know we're getting real dark here, but I've got both fenders on. The back bolts are bolted down. I got my heights on the back, and I got the rear gaps gapped where I want it. The front end is still probably like this. Moment of truth, we're going to set the hood down and see how she looks. Obviously you don't just want to drop the hood and smash the fenders if it's way out of whack, so I'm going to slowly come down. Let's see what we got here. On the driver's side, I've got a great big gap here. You can see where it's kind of wide back here, but that's like, again, how I said the fender was, but you got a great big gap up here. Well, here on this side, the gap is good in the back, but it's super tight on here, so that tells me the whole core support and all that's got to come this way. So what that's telling me is the whole core support, I just kind of set it up here kind of in the middle. The whole core support's got to pull to the passenger side just a little bit, and that should drag all this stuff into place. Because I got the fenders are pretty much tight up to the core support on both sides, and I got my fender extensions are centered up in the core support. So we're going to go ahead and take the core support bolts and slide the core support to the passenger side like a 1/2 inch and see how that does. I loosened her up. Let me give her a little shove. Oh, there we go, a little bit. She went over just a little bit. That's about as far as it's going to go, I think. Tighten this back down. Alright, let's set the hood back down. Set the hood back down and see what we get. Okay. Alright, I should be able to I can push the front of this fender in I got to move the top in. Now I'm too wide back here. This fender should pull out just a little bit. And the adjustment in here. Pull my headlight extension out over here. I'm going to tighten this down where it's got to be. And then I can bump the top of the fender out just a little bit more. This guy wants to be pulled out right about here. Now, I can adjust my top piece here on the hood. I'm also going to loosen the back of the hood, or the fender, and push it in, because now it's hanging outside the door just a little bit. It kind of changed when I moved the core support. And I'll pull the front edge of this guy out just a little bit. But we're very close to being in the ballpark. I'm round the second, heading for home. Let's say I tighten this up. Okay, there we go. My door gaps are about the same on either side. Yeah, the door gaps are looking good. I sucked this in, that looks good. This is a little wide up here in the front. This side's pretty straight all the way back to the cowl. And the core support is just a little bit to the right, which I knew that it was. This thing was all so wrinkled up, it was hard to... This thing was so wrinkled up, it was, did my best. Everything's not going to be exactly perfect, but I think it's going to go together all right. So, pretty much got the fenders lined up where I want to be. I'm just going to do a little more tweaking and adjusting the fasteners. Try to shim it around the best I can, get the gaps like evened out all the way around. I mean, it's a winter truck, it's not a show truck. So if I can get within looking good, it's real close now. So, but it's getting super dark out, so I think I'm going to probably hold off trying to do any more because I can barely see. And then we'll come back and we'll tackle it some more in the daylight. Alright, hold the phone. I'm doing the editing process on this video, and I realize that we're like running really long and we're out of time. The video would be like 40 minutes long, so I got to cut it off right here. And there's going to be a two-parter. There's going to be part one. There's going to be another part two coming up here next. So we're going to have to stop it here, and you're going to have to come on back to see the conclusion of the front-end reassembly on Project Green Machine. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit the bell for alerts. Tell your friends. As always, I'll see you right back here at the Quick Speed Shop for more F250 Project Green Machine action.